Welcome to the next third session of our Substack live series.
Welcome, welcome everyone. Can't believe it's already the third session and the
Hmm.
week has just gone.
I
We
think this
hope,
week,
sorry,
I think this week went faster than the last week.
agreed. And we hope that our listeners are getting some perspective shifts or some just fun joy out of these conversations like we are having.
Yeah. I hope that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
All
today,
right.
yeah, let's start with today's topic without wasting any time.
Sure.
So, uh, how we hold ourselves back from receiving
Yeah.
blessings, receiving blessings. You added that. Initially, it was not there, but okay.
I added that because it sort of looked a bit, ambiguous. So
Hmm.
just for the sake of clarity, I added blessings in life.
Okay. Okay, and so it's if we generally talk about receiving, I don't even know from where to start, but there's so much that I've been reading about receiving from years now,
Mhm,
and so many. So I have came across so many people
mhm,
who struggle with receiving.
mhm.
It's one of the major things in almost every person.
Agreed. Yeah. So why don't we begin with talking about what receiving is? Because I don't think like many of us understand the true meaning of it, other than its literal meaning, receiving. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very interesting uh, point to start with. You want to start?
Sure. I can start. So what is receiving for me? Receiving to me is openness, and the openness to anything and everything that life has to present to me. And I don't want to classify it as is it for me or against me, just being thoroughly open. And because with my limited perspective, what I think is against me can actually be for me, and vice versa.
Hmm.
So, receiving is that full surrender to the openness of life, even when my mind has a zillion reasons to not to do so. In other words, I also see receiving as the most courageous way to live life. And I don't associate receiving the always with the context of giving. Like receiving exists standalone as well. It's not necessarily about giving and then the receiving comes into the scene. Receiving in itself is always there. It's the highest form of surrender. So yeah.
Yeah, very beautifully explained what receiving means to you. Really loved hearing that. Hmm. For me, so see life as a flow, and it's a flow of giving and receiving. And this duality, I think, exists everywhere. And this is how everything works or should work because when there is flow, uh, things are just better. It's like flow. The example of flow you usually used with the water, and when the water is flowing, it's fresh, it's lively, and when it's not flowing, it becomes when it becomes stagnant, it starts decaying, it starts smelling.
Mm,
So, receiving for me is again, to me, it's also openness to also allow myself and not let my ego come in between. So what I feel is why so many times receiving can be hard is only when your ego is coming in the between, when that me is there. then that's the resistance to receiving. So if we let go, if I let go of me, and it's not that I am always, so there's also a distinction that is between taking and receiving. So taking, although the end result is that something is coming to me only, but either I can, take this cup from someone who is not 100% willing to give me, but maybe forcefully I can manipulate that person and take this cup. But receiving is that when that person is 100% willing to give it to me, and then, yeah, then it's up to me that how open I am to receive it.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, having that distinction so that people don't confuse taking with receiving. And then it's not that we only receive from people in our life. I think receiving so much happens uh, from the divine, from whatever you call it, from the higher power.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is so much. And this is what I feel, that the more open I am to receiving, the more freely I can give. It's, I think, so many times if I am giving, and also when I'm giving to one particular person, giving to one particular person, and naturally I will start having expectations, and naturally I will want something from that person, and when I'm not getting it, then I will start feeling depleted. So uh, to avoid that, we to avoid that, we have to be, so many times we are not able to even see that we are receiving so much from so many different sources in our life, different people in our life, or in different ways. That is also a ability that I think we can develop when we are more grateful, to be able to see that how much we are already receiving when we think there is nothing happening in our life. And one more point I want to add is, yeah, when I can fully give, I can fully receive, and the more I receive, the more my threshold of receiving increases, and then I can give more and more and more. At the same time, see, receiving is good, giving, but I always feel that it's giving which gives you more joy. I don't
Yeah.
know. To me, it's giving gives me more joy, and in order to fully give, also, but I have to learn how to fully receive. And when someone is giving you, and yeah, and if you are not fully receiving it, then you are in a way taking away their joy. That's what I feel.
Yeah. Both of these concepts of giving and receiving are so like interconnected that we cannot talk about one without talking about the other. And I think one thing which we usually miss when we talk about receiving is it is the interconnectedness which we start tapping into when we talk about receiving.
Hmm.
Interconnectedness, as in one is all and all is one.
Hmm.
It can be a high level concept, but I still want to talk a bit about it. Um, when I open myself to receive, not what I want to receive, but what life is giving me, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Beyond my judgments of good, bad, right, wrong. When I open myself to that sort of receiving and I fully accept that receiving, I start tapping into this magical interconnectedness where I start realizing that, oh my God, everything is actually for my greater good only.
Hmm.
And I don't think that kind of experience begins, that experience of interconnectedness begins unless we open ourselves to receiving.
Hmm.
Because by default we all are sort of attuned to give, because we feel receiving is selfish, but giving sort of boost our morality, you know.
Hmm.
So one aspect of this duality, as you said, or this circuitry is already there giving. When we start receiving, we just, you know,
Hmm. We complete the loop.
complete it. Yes, we complete the loop. And
Yeah.
whenever a loop is completed like that on the very fundamental level of the nature, we start tapping into those loops, then become the hoops through which we jump and we experience the magnificence of life itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Very profound. Very profound. Hmm. So, how about we dive into what stops us from receiving?
Let's jump right in. What do you think? What stops us from receiving?
What stops us from receiving? Of course, it is our conditioning that stops us from receiving because, as these days, I'm spending a lot of time with my niece,
Mhm.
and how I see her is that she is very, very upfront about what she wants. She doesn't hesitate a bit in, to ask what she wants. It's like, of course, it's not that she will get everything, but she is so unapologetic, so open to be asking what she wants.
Mm,
So definitely, we as adults are not like that. And because even I think even asking is also somewhere connected to, how open you are to receiving. Because she is right now, I think, 100% open to receiving. She asks freely. So definitely, it's part of her conditioning. But what are those ideas of conditioning from where it starts? So one of them is this only, that so many times this idea of being a good guy, good man, good woman is very fundamental to this resistance of to receiving,
mm,
because we are raised to pretend, or we are raised to suppress our needs and wants, and then play a role or an image of being a good mother, good father, or a good son, or a good daughter. And if we are not able to play that role, then we are shamed, and a lot of negative things are told. And it starts happening at a very, very early age. So if you are asked to, if from a very young age you are asked to suppress your needs, you are asked to suppress your emotions, even if then automatically when you would want something, you will start hesitating, because that will start playing with your identity of a good boy, a good father, good mother, good girl.
mm,
So this, yeah, this I think this title of being selfish, this
mhm,
and this fear, this creates a fear of being selfish.
mm,
This happens with people who are actually very good at giving, who are people who are very empathetic.
mm,
This develop this fear of being selfish, and then everything then they are doing, they are, rather than giving freely, or asking for, communicating honestly,
mm,
asking for what they want, they are always coming from a place of, am I being selfish?
mm. Yeah,
And
perfect.
that in the longer run will only that only result, because if you keep on giving and you are not receiving, and you are also not communicating your needs, then it is going to lead to a disaster, because then you are human, and you will have those expectations, and if you are, and there will come a point where either you will settle for bare minimum, But again, if it's bare minimum, there will come a point where you will have that burnout or burst out
Or resentment.
or resentment. Yes, resentment. And then either you can, tell yourself, oh, I'm a good person, and live with that resentment. Or yeah, you can, if you have to learn, because if you have to learn to receive,
Mhm.
a very major part of receiving is to communicate your needs. And
True.
also allowing yourself. So many times we don't allow ourselves to receive, and we get, it's not, again, so many times we don't even focus on that. That becomes such a part of us, that it's like that's who we are. Oh,
Mhm.
I don't like taking compliments. Oh, I find it hard to take compliments.
It becomes an identity,
It becomes an identity. Yeah.
one which we take pride in a lot. Like, oh my God, okay. I am a very humble person. I don't like to, just receive compliments. Even when deep within, all I want is that validation. But I
Yeah.
will not accept it because I'm a humble person.
Yeah. Yeah. That pretense, we call it, the pretense of humility, false humility.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think one more thing is giving makes us feel good about ourselves, right? But receiving doesn't.
Yeah.
And we love to feel good about ourselves. Yes, it's connected to morality, but I'm trying to touch another tangent here. When I can feel that I am good, when I can feel that goodness of myself, I can sort of try to make myself believe that I'm enough.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, I will always keep running from the deep belief of mine that I'm not enough. It's in a way, it's a very meticulous attempt of ours where we deep within feel that we are not enough, or we are flawed, or we are unlovable. And then by using the concepts like giving, we try to prove to ourselves that
Hmm.
no, those
Maybe.
beliefs are wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
receiving doesn't give us that chance. Receiving instead make us look closely to those limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
Because if we already feel that we are not enough,
Hmm.
we will not feel enough even when we receive it.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
We will
Hmm.
always feel not enough. Then the purpose of receiving itself becomes redundant. That, okay, I thought I'll receive and I'll start feeling enough about myself, but no, I still feel I'm not enough. So, what's the point in receiving? Let's ditch the whole concept and
Yeah.
let's prefer giving.
Yeah. 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 And so many times, whatever we are doing on an unconscious or subconscious level, it is we are doing it to receive only.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that is in direct contradiction with our conscious interpretation of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the paradox.
Yes. So I
Hmm.
think it's when we talk about the challenges in receiving, I think there's a major conflict between what we think we want and what we actually want that needs to be addressed.
Hmm.
I mean, not self-shaming ourselves for having those needs of wanting love or validation, compliments, or having the need that, okay, yes, I want to feel good about myself. I mean, but saying this out loud in front of people, it can just trigger some like,
Hmm.
what? What? You want
Hmm.
to feel good about yourself? I mean, again, that's such a selfish thing to say. And especially in the community of spirituality, that just triggers a whole whole lot of people.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, I want to, point out to the limiting beliefs, as in what are those beliefs that we develop from our conditioning, and which also leads to all these behaviors and another limiting beliefs.
Sure, go on. What do you think the prime belief in that?
I think prime belief is always I am not enough,
Mm-hmm.
and which from which so many beliefs arises, which are I am not worthy. They are very connected. These are the core beliefs. These two, three, I think. I am not worthy. I am not enough, and I am not lovable. Then other beliefs arises like I am flawed. I am not a good person. There's something wrong about me. Uh, there are many, 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 many more than.
Mm-hmm.
But I think fundamentally they are just two, three beliefs, core beliefs, which are I am not enough, I am not lovable, and I am not worthy. And that's why to receive compliments, if you feel you are not worthy, how can you even receive? Like Adam, because that belief will always make you feel that you are not enough even for this compliment or for this appreciation or for this maybe appraisal or for this job or for this person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can say like so many times it's called in so many different ways like abandonment wound and other like there are other ways also how it's communicated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
And I just got into a thought loop when you mentioned about these three beliefs because very recently I recognized one such belief in me, and I got to talking to
Hmm.
someone, and we realized that there is not a single person in this whole world who
Hmm.
doesn't have that kind of limiting belief. It's
Hmm.
that it's just that that belief is dressed up in different ways. Like you said, three main beliefs: I'm not enough, I am not lovable, or I'm not worthy. If we look at it, these three are just telling the same story, right? It's like it's more about from which angle are you looking at it.
Hmm.
So if we just try to extrapolate it, we can say that even the people who have learned to receive, who have opened themselves to receiving, they might still have these limiting beliefs or the other sort of beliefs which still make them hesitant in receiving, but still they give a chance to receiving. So it's not about eradicating all these beliefs. I don't think it's ever about that. I think it's more about finding a space where you can be comfortable with their presence. And then with time, it happens automatically that those beliefs start dissolving.
Hmm.
So I just want to highlight this point here that if anyone listening this feels that yes, they also have that kind of limiting belief, it doesn't mean that you have to wait until that limiting belief is over for you to receive.
Yeah, then
You,
that's another.
you yeah, you
Yeah.
can receive while you have those beliefs. It's all
Yeah.
about creating that space where you let that sort of contradiction exist, that you feel you are not worthy, but at the same time, you are learning to be okay with it.
Hmm.
Because when you start being okay with it, that okay, I feel I'm not worthy, you stop resisting it. The resistance of, oh my God, I just have to keep proving to myself or to others that I indeed am worthy.
Yeah.
Because once you accept it that yes, you believe that you are not worthy, then now what? There is nothing to fight against. All kind of resistance just suspends itself, and that's when a space opens up where you automatically start receiving. So I don't think it's about doing anything to start receiving. It's only about being okay with all that limiting stuff that you think about yourself
Hmm.
and staying present with it, letting it tell you what it wants to tell you, and then gradually the space opens up on its own, where receiving and giving both start coexisting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very beautifully explained. Also, if we, become even more curious about these beliefs, and like one of the one can be how our behaviors or how our desires may be coming from a place of those beliefs.
Yeah.
So many times, let's suppose I want to be appreciated by people, or I want to be famous.
Mm,
So sometimes my core desire to be famous is just to get validated by so many people.
mm,
And because then somewhere unconsciously I believe that if I become famous and if I get validated by so many people, finally I will start believing that I am enough. Yeah.
yeah.
So one thing is we have to understand that you cannot fill your internal void with something external. So you cannot. It's like for me, it's like let's suppose you plant a mango seed, you start watering it, and are taking very good care of it every day. You take very good care of it for years, and then one day, like, it becomes a plant. After 3 4 years it becomes a tree, and it's time that it can start giving fruits.
Mm.
But you are expecting apples to come out of mango tree. Why? Because you worked so hard. So yeah, the when the and our thoughts are like seeds.
Uh-huh.
So when our belief is I am not worthy or I am not good enough, no matter how much you work hard, no matter how much you earn, no matter how famous you become, the results of it will always be that same feeling. The results will always be I am not good enough until you start working again from the inside out and start looking at it, and start being okay with it, and then also working in the direction where you start realizing that where does your worth actually comes from, on what external things you want to base your worth on, or do you want to be worthy uh without doing anything, just just inherently worthy. How it's like, if today I am productive, I have worked for 8 hours, then I feel worthy, and tomorrow if I am not able to work and I am watching Netflix, then tomorrow I feel that I am not worthy. So is that how you want to work through it? Or you can allow yourself, to see in a light where you understand that what is the difference between conditioning and how you want to uh, create your life from the inside out, create your identity from the inside out.
Agreed. You talking about worth reminded me of a very brief interaction I have with someone years back. So I asked them, what is the source of my self worth? That was
Hmm.
my question. He said, you'll be frustrated to hear this, but the very part of you who is trying to figure out the source of your self worth,
Hmm.
that is everything which is standing between you and your self worth.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's like that, na, that we think we have to reach a certain level to feel deserving, worthy, loved. But the fact is, with all our flaws, messes, complexities, hypocrisies in this very moment, we are worthy, we are loved, and we are deserving.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think the final question is that can we receive our own love?
Yeah, very important question. And I think to answer that, first one needs to understand what love is here, because
Hmm.
I don't think like many of us actually understand or have attuned ourselves to feeling the love which we are talking.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So many times, even our idea of love
Hmm.
is something that we have not asked.
Either it's all romantic, the filmy one,
Yeah.
romantic, and that too, filmy one, filmy romantic, or it's like nothing. I think it's that kind of gap in the extremes here. Either it can be romantic, that too in a very filmy manner, or it simply doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mostly it is like that. And so many times our idea of love is coming from whatever our parents' idea of love is or
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah,
So until and unless we don't question it, uh, from a place of curiosity, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of curiosity, until and unless we don't question it, and we also don't explore what love is for us, what is our idea of love,
mm,
then it's difficult to reach there.
yeah, yeah. It's very important to first understand where we are at right now, and like see it like, and without judging, but out of curiosity, as you said, so that we can first accept, okay, this is where I am right now, right? Because like a lot of us don't accept where we are at right now, even if, especially if it's a very messy situation we are in, because we think if once we accept it, then it will become our reality. But the fact is, it itself is a reality and you are not accepting it, so
Mm.
you are just deepening the suffering in this reality, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
The laws are very consistent, and whatever you resist will persist.
yes, that is why it's very important to accept that, in terms of receiving, that okay, yes, I have a big time problem in receiving. I even suggest people that if there is anything which makes you cringe or just cough, you know, oh
Mm,
shit, uh, that kind of feeling while saying something, then repeat that sentence to you as many times as you want. I have a big time problem in receiving. I have a big time problem in receiving. Just repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, and then just sit with the sensations, feelings, thoughts, whatever it stirs in you, and then you'll come to a point where you will start accepting that yes, I have a big time problem in receiving. And then the next step, like how to cultivate the strength to receive, or how to cultivate that space to receive, then that next step opens up.
yeah. So what's next? Where do you want to dive in?
We can dive in. Like, I think there are more challenges which comes to receiving, not just that.
Mm,
And okay, let's talk about the day-to-day scenarios where receiving, where the lack of receiving makes us suffer, but we are not able to relate it with receiving.
mm,
Because receiving for us is either in terms of help or some object,
mm,
money, gifts, compliments, stuff like that. But there are subtle forms of receiving which are present throughout our day.
mm,
So let's talk about that.
mm. Okay. I'm thinking of my day.
That's what I assumed. You're thinking of.
I'm thinking of my day. Like, where did I receive? Certainly. Yeah. I think gratitude is a major part of receiving.
Oh my God. Exactly these words I was just saying to myself. You said it out loud.
Yeah, because there are times when there are so many small things, I think, which we just take for granted.
Yeah, yeah.
And when we are not being grateful to it, then it's easy to complain about small things. It's easy to complain about thing when things don't go our way. Because there are so many times when we will want things to go the way we want, and what the idea that we had in our mind, and most of the times they will not go. But I don't think we learn from that, because we, we always have that expectation uh,
Mm-hmm.
to go things the way we imagined in our mind. uh, but I think it this is something, yeah, I so many times I focus on small things. And yeah, the thing is, there are so many things going on. And
I'll begin with one. Meanwhile, you gather your thoughts if you can.
yeah.
So I'll tell the significant and ever present form of receiving is this breathing.
Hmm.
If I am breathing like the way I am, and I am not connecting it with the concept of receiving, my breath will not necessarily be deep. But the moment I start understanding the concept of receiving in the context of breathing, my breath will get deepened. I'll start taking deep breaths. So that's one of the most subtle forms of receiving which I observe.
Hmm.
Whenever we are asked to breathe deeply, what we are being asked actually is receive it fully.
Hmm.
Let the breathe reach all corners of your body. And that can happen only when I relax and I receive.
Yeah.
Another very common example.
Just
Uh,
I just want to
yeah,
appreciate. It was such a beautiful example.
thank you. I receive you. I receive your compliment.
Such a I don't think there can anything be subtle than this breath.
Yeah,
And more important than the breath.
absolutely. It's the pran. The another example which is coming to my mind is, you know, how you go out in the rain or sun or just when there is a cool breeze. And some people like to have those raindrops fall on their face. So they stand like this. What they are doing in that moment, they are opening themselves to receiving
Hmm.
that particular.
Yeah, and then at the
That is.
same deep also in that moment.
Come again?
At the same time, they are breathing deep
Yeah, yeah,
in in that particular moment, and consciously they are not even aware that they,
exactly. Exactly. And that
yeah.
is how it also happens when, sometimes like how we stand in the sun and we just soaking it in. That soaking it in, what we are doing, we are receiving it. We don't register it because we don't register the giving given by sun here.
Hmm.
It's happening on its own and we are receiving it. And yeah, it is like one of the other subtle forms of receiving.
Yeah, how much we as humans on this planet receive from Earth and nature, and how much do we take it for granted?
Oh my God. Yes,
Yeah, that's just preposterous.
it is.
Yeah.
Any other subtle form of receiving which you are able to recollect?
Right now, I think this technology, how we are communicating, this platform, Substack, and whatever gadgets I have, technology wise, and this, even now, if I start thinking, then everything I think will come into it. But this is also a form of receiving.
Mm.
We are
And
not we are not like we will not we'll create our own platform and then we'll do a live on that.
yeah, agreed. And the
Yeah.
more we talk about it, the feeling of gratitude itself starts
Hmm.
birthing itself. It's like it's there. Okay, now I'm feeling grateful because I'm accepting the receiving which is involved in my life. Yeah, and I think that is all what gratitude is about, right? Like when someone says be grateful, so in a way they are being asked to count their blessings, right? And counting the blessings is just another form of saying that you deeply accept the receiving of those blessings.
Yes, very true. Very true. What else?
What else? I'll give one other example in terms of interpersonal relationships, the subtle form of receiving. Being fully present with someone is more like receiving than giving. We think that it is us who are giving them our attention, full attention, so we are giving here. But what I feel is we are receiving, we are opening ourselves fully, completely to all that that person is in front of us. So that is receiving.
Yeah, yeah, again, very, very, very profound. Hmm.
And in a way, it's just the perspective shift, I think, because in our conscious and conscious ways of giving all the time, we are many times just receiving. But the moment we accept it, we just become overwhelmed or anxious, or all those morality things starts getting questioned.
Yes, yes, yes. So how about now we dive into how we can make receiving easy.
Hmm. What do you think? How can we make receiving easy?
I think it will require a lot of work, a lot of consistent work. It not happen on a surface level because you have to start from your core limiting beliefs. Uh, and I think if you start from there, then it can become easier. And yeah, also see, so many times what happens is that we don't fully love ourselves. We only love parts of ourselves which we feel are good enough, which we
Mm,
feel they are, oh, I'm good at this, I am more skillful at this.
mm.
uh, yeah, for most of the things, just give me 1 minute. I somehow put an alarm to my new digital clock at 6:45 p.m. rather, and
Okay, go.
yeah, yeah. So
Welcome back.
yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So I was talking about how we can make receiving easy, and yeah, I don't want to scare anyone that it will require a lot of work, but I think that's the truth. But like how you said, in order to start receiving, it doesn't mean you have to eliminate those beliefs. You can start. You can always start from day zero, like step one. Yeah.
I'll add that instead of just jumping onto doing this work, I'll first like personally speaking, if I identify that I have problem in receiving, as I said, I'll take my time to accept that problem first, because it's very important, crucial.
Hmm.
Do I deeply accept that I suck at receiving? If I cannot be okay with it, I will always be on the fences while I am working on cultivating my capacity to receive. Because somewhere I'm still not fully onboarded with this whole idea that I suck at receiving. So I would like, with my clients, as like with my readers also, I just say that whatever it is that you feel is an obstacle or challenge or issue or a roadblock in your journey, you first ask yourself how okay you are in accepting it. And by that, I don't mean that you stop feeling certain sort of emotion, certain kind of emotions like, okay, if I accept that I suck at receiving, I'll stop feeling sad about it, or I'll stop feeling embarrassed or ashamed about it. No, you will still feel those emotions. It's just that now you will be able to feel them instead of getting consumed in them. There's a difference.
Hmm.
So, whenever a challenge arises here in this context, let's say capacity of receiving, right? If I have that challenge, and if that challenge is making me consumed in my emotions, whatever those emotions are, good, bad, whatever, then I have to hold on, and I have to first come to a state where I am feeling my emotions instead of getting consumed in them. That's when I'll realize that, okay, I now have a good level of acceptance with my current problem. And then the whole inner work will come into scene. It's in a way, it is also inner work only, where I am cultivating this acceptance. But yes, then the so-called troubleshooting will begin.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So, uh, I think also at the same time, as you were mentioning that accepting part, if you're in denial that, I am okay with bare minimum, oh, at least I'm a good person. So, if you're okay with it, then of course nothing is going to change. You have to see what are the consequences
Mm,
of you being okay with bare minimum. What will happen in the longer run, or what has already been happening? Why you are, if we talk about why you attract similar kinds of friendships,
mm,
relationships, and if you want to get out of those patterns,
yeah,
you have
yeah.
to and accept. Okay, somewhere there is a problem with receiving, and then yeah, why would I want to work on receiving?
Mm. Yeah, the why is important, and to understand the why, uh, understanding the consequences matter.
Yes, yes. And if you understand, why you want to receive fully, and one of the things is to create that flow of energy. If
Mm,
I want to give fully, I have to receive fully. And also, to be experiencing this life full of where it is on a daily basis, it is becoming a better and better experience where your joy, your happiness is increasing.
mm,
To fully experience this life, it's important to be receiving.
mm. Love it. Yeah. Hmm. Uh, do you want to address this question by Suraj? What
Uh,
if the lack of receiving over the years builds a nature of not accepting whenever it does come to you?
hmm. Okay. Uh, so first of all, Swaraj, you can become aware of what are other beliefs around that. So one of them is again, if you are saying that there is a nature of accepting. whenever it comes to resisting it, then of course there is one of the belief is that I am not good at receiving, or one could be I don't know how to receive. And it doesn't matter so many times. So like our problems become much bigger when we think of the time duration. So we have to let go of the time duration, and there is only one more, which is now. And of course, so much of has been happening because of whatever it has happened for years. But it doesn't matter; it cannot change. It doesn't. Even if you're 80 years old, even if you're 90 years old, even if you're 100 years old, and if you have a pattern of not receiving for 180 years, 100 or 80 years, then also you can learn to be to start receiving. So first of all, letting go of the pressure of years, because everyone has gone through years of conditioning, and then starting becoming aware of your beliefs, accepting them, and then creating that space, and asking questions like just very simple questions: how can you be better at receiving, or just how can you be better by 2% in receiving today?
In a way, begin where you are.
Yes.
I'll also add, in the question itself lies the answer. Um, since your mind has made you believe that you are not good at receiving, it is time to question what your mind is making you believe. Because in every giving there lies receiving, and vice versa.
Hmm.
So in your question, like if we go by this question, this means you are good at giving,
Hmm.
have problem in receiving. Okay, perfect, that's a very good beginning point. Now what are those moments which come to your mind when you think about giving? Let's say you say that, okay, I am very good at giving support to my friends.
Hmm.
Now the thing is, start where you are, start with this very thing that you are good at giving support to your friends. But don't you think there lies an inherent receiving here? While you are giving support to your friends, what you are receiving in turn? Yes, you are feeling good about yourself, but you are also receiving their love, their care, their gratitude for yourself. So you are receiving. It's just that your mind is not making you register it.
Hmm.
So I'll suggest a very good activity after this live. Just list out 10 moments from your life or this time frame which you are considering while asking this question, and write down all those 10 moments where you thought you were great at giving. And then on the other side, write down the inherent receiving involved in all those giving. Make your mind see what it which it doesn't want to see, and then
Yeah.
it will be like, okay, wow, the evidence is there.
Yeah.
You give evidence to your mind, it will be on board, and it
Yeah.
will make you believe that yes, you are indeed good at receiving.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, once you have that counter evidence to your belief, you will start to see more and more things where you are receiving, but maybe not registering it.
Yes. Then maybe comes a point where you think you are now good at receiving. So you'll start receiving with that confidence.
Hmm.
And your mind will struggle to register the inherent giving part in it.
Hmm.
Then you'll have to make it understand that, okay, while receiving here, we were also giving. Because as we said, no, you cannot separate one from the other. And with time, your mind will become habitual of registering giving and receiving both in the same moment.
Yeah. And that's a very beautiful place to be in.
Lovely place.
Yes. Hmm. What else? That's awesome.
Awesome. All the best, Raj. What else? Any other question which the current listeners may have for us?
Hmm.
Anything you want to add, Ashutosh, as maybe the closing notes or the closing tips from you?
I want to add that something that anyone can do is, whenever you are being appreciated by someone, just observe what you do.
Lovely.
Simply observe what you do. Are you like, yeah, thank you very much, or oh, please stop it. I just did it because, are you trying to rationalize it? Are you like in observe how you are not receiving it? Because so many times, even when you say thank you know, in your mind you may not be receiving it. Or so many times, just to even sometimes to even look humble, we don't even fully take the credit of it, or we do not fully even say thank you or you are welcome.
Yeah. And many times we don't do it. There exists no sorry and thank you in friendships. Stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think more than friendship, it exists. I see it. It doesn't actually exist in my friendships, but I see it with my relationships, as in relationship with my mother, with my father, with my brother, in family. Actually,
Mm.
there is hardly sorry and thank you. It feels, if even if I say sometimes thank you to my mother, she's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?"
Are you all right? Why are you thanking?
हाँ, ये तो हमारा, this is our right, or this is our
Duty.
duty.
Yeah. That's a very good point to begin. I love
Yeah,
this point which you added, that just be observant of what you
yeah,
do or think when
yeah,
someone says thank you to you.
yeah. And one analogy I have for this is when you say that, "Oh, I'm not good at receiving." There is a very powerful analogy that I learned from some very amazing coach. So it goes like this. So let's suppose that it's your birthday, Ashi. It's your birthday, and one of your friends took a lot of effort and they pick out a very amazing gift for you. They packed it, and then they came to meet you, and then they gave you the gift. And in that moment, what you did is just you threw the gift away.
Oh my god. So visual.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing when you're not receiving.
Lovely. Lovely. That's a very great, like, wow. Yeah. So many time, like in a day only, we in that way though we keep throwing all the so many gifts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how will you receive that gift?
Mm. No, that's a great thing. Mm. I think it goes with the, I don't know, like for some people physical touch matters the more than the words, right? Like when someone is hugging or shaking the hands, even in that moment too, one can recognize if they are fully receiving that hug or not.
Oh yeah, very beautiful. There are so many times when there's resistance in the body.
Yeah. for so many reasons. Like there can be actual trauma, physical trauma, whatever that is, but again it's a very good uh, evidence that when someone is hugging you, obviously someone who you feel safe with, and they're hugging you, how your body is responding to it.
Hmm.
Like, I have seen people, I have a friend whose body starts shaking,
Hmm.
literally starts shaking. And then that is very interesting to observe that even if they want to accept this hug, they want it, their body is rejecting it.
Yeah, yeah, because emotionally it does not know how
Yeah.
to receive a hug.
Mm, awesome. I think
Yeah.
this has to be my favorite live of the all three we have done so far.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add before we wind up?
Before I want, I think something just to give you some pointers, some things that can help you to become better at receiving and both giving. Because if you become better at receiving, you become better at giving. And if you're better at giving, you will, if you're actually better at giving, not in the idea of giving. Sometimes you're better just in the idea of giving, but you are not fully actually giving. So, yeah. Um, One thing is, of course, gratitude, because the more things you see, so many things we take for granted, so many things are inherent, simply like our breath, this plant pores, that we are alive, that we are on this planet living in a place which is not in a conflict zone or whatever. There are so many reasons to be thankful for. So being grateful for things which you are usually not grateful for. Then I think second thing which is very important is self-love, and not loving yourself on good days, but loving yourself on bad days. That's more important. Loving parts of yourself which you judge or which you feel are not enough, which are filled with shame. Of course, it's a whole process on how to get there. Yes, and coming and then yeah, understanding your beliefs, where your mind is stopping you. What are those beliefs which stops you from receiving?
Mm. Yes, and I'll just add one point that please don't take it as a destination to arrive at. The thrill is in the journey. So
Yeah.
every moment of that journey is a destination in itself. So be
Hmm.
very mindful if you find yourself getting impatient that, oh, when will I get better at receiving and all. It will not work like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Our mind is, this is something that I just had this thought last night only, and just before I was about to sleep, and then I keep my phone away from my bed. Then I had to, bring my phone again and record it. It's like the most funny thing that I find about conditioning is that, when we are in school, we are chasing grades, good grades. Then we start chasing a good college. Then we start chasing a good job, and then we start chasing a romantic partner. Then we start chasing, more money. Then we start chasing fame. When we start chasing success, then finally we realize, it's not working out. So then we understand this new concept of self improvement,
Mm.
and we start chasing self improvement, but we are still chasing. So that's how deeply conditioned you are to chasing.
Mm. Wow, awesome. Thank you, Ashutosh. Thank you so very much for your presence, for everything that you had. Much, much, much gratitude to you.
You're most welcome. Receiving it. It's a little hard to receive it live because it takes sometimes it takes time.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for your acknowledgement, and I am as grateful, maybe a little more or less, I don't know, to you, and for yeah for coming, like, for having the same energy for this life. I Even though I had the initial idea, but there are so many things which uh, only were possible because of your energy, your willingness, and then having these, bringing your energy, bringing so many beautiful ideas. And
Thank you.
and I think the beauty of this is that I think this is just the beginning. Maybe we did 3 lives this week, but I think we'll continue doing this.
I think so. Yeah.
I think we can decide that later. Let's end the live.
Yeah. We'll decide later, and we are yet to decide the topic for the next live, right? So we'll let the viewers know, the subscribers know afterwards. And thank you to everyone who joined, because this, our conversations definitely get more receptive, even more inspiring for both of us as well when we find such an attentive audience. And as we were talking before we begin this lives, that we are not concerned about how many of you are joining it or how many of you are listening to it. We are all about, even if one person is getting to listen to one specific part of whatever we are talking,
Mhm.
we are grateful.
Yeah, we are definitely grateful. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys. Yeah, because anyway, we are doing it for our own joy. We are very selfish people.
And we own it.
We own it, but it's good to have people when they are asking questions.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.